We're certainly very lucky many of these birds are now extinct. Today's video, narrated by Greg, is on the top 5 largest birds in history.
Number 5. The Giant Teratorn. The Giant Teratorn was the second largest flying bird when it comes to wingspan, which was around 20 feet, and the heaviest flying bird ever to exist. It weighed from 154 to 170 pounds and lived in the area of today's Argentina about 6 million years ago. Its appearance most resembled that of modern condors, which are thought to be its closest living relatives. The Giant Teratorns had very strong, sturdy legs and large feet, which also made them good walkers. Their skull structure indicates that they swallowed prey whole and that they were able to grab, kill, and swallow it by swooping from high above without landing. The bird had a very long lifespan. The young probably didn't reach full maturity before 12 years of age, and it's thought that their average and maximum age was relatively high, ranging from 50 to 100 years. Number 4. Pelagornis sandersi. The Pelagornis sandersi was the largest flying bird ever to exist, with a typical wingspan of 20 to 24 feet. This makes it at least 2 to 3 times larger than the largest living bird in terms of wingspan, the wandering albatross. There is only one known fossil of this bird, dating as far back as an astounding 25 million years ago. It was discovered in 1983 during the building of a new terminal at the Charleston International Airport in South Carolina. It was identified as a new species in 2014 at the Charleston Museum, where it's still held to this day. The Pelagornis sandersi weighed from 49 to 88 pounds, which brought about the discussion on whether birds like these were too heavy to fly, according to the common theory of the bird flying mechanism. It's been suggested that they indeed could fly by hopping off cliff ledges because of their long wings and relatively small bodies, coupled with the fact that they mostly flew over the ocean. Number 3. Stirton's thunderbird. Stirton's thunderbird, also known as Dromornis stirtoni, are a part of a 26,000-year-old group of flightless birds called thunderbirds, demon ducks, or mirangs, all of which are now extinct. The Stirton's thunderbird was one of the largest birds found through fossil evidence, reaching heights of 10 feet and weighing 1,100 pounds. Its bones have only been found in Australia, and they revealed that the bird lived in the open woodlands in the subtropical region of Australia as long as 11 to 5 million years ago. As is common with flightless birds, it had small, stub-like wings and a long neck. Despite having powerful legs, it's not thought to have been a particularly fast runner, though recent biomechanical analysis suggests they made up for their less-than-ideal form with brute strength. There's also been dispute on whether the animal was a herbivore or a carnivore. It's unknown when exactly they went extinct, but the last species of thunderbirds is thought to have survived until about 30,000 years ago. One of the likeliest reasons for their extinction is, as usual, human activity. But like with most giant ancient Australian animals, it's unclear whether it was caused by a combination of multiple factors or exclusively brought about through human agency. Some Australian Aboriginal rock paintings depict enormous birds, which probably represent the thunderbirds, and footprints, presumed to have been made by thunderbirds themselves, have been found preserved in dune sands in southern Australia. Number 2. The giant moa. The giant moa was a bird species endemic to New Zealand that went extinct around the middle of the 2nd millennium BC. It was most probably the tallest bird that ever lived, reaching up to 12 feet in height, and one of the most massive ones, with a weight of about 500 to 600 pounds. This was only the case with females though, as this species had very pronounced sexual dimorphism. In other words, physical differences between males and females, with females being up to 1.5 times taller and almost 3 times as heavy as the males. Because of this, they were mistakenly classified into separate species when their remains were first discovered. The giant moas had reddish-brown feathers that covered most of their bodies, and that de-evolved into more primitive hair-like structures due to them being flightless. These feathers still had the function of both providing insulation and protection from weather. They were herbivores, and their large, powerful feet and long necks allowed them to feed more easily on tall vegetation. The evolutionary thread between birds and dinosaurs is especially apparent when seeing the skeletons of birds like the giant moa, with their long legs and necks and their small, pointed heads heavily reminiscent of the ancient reptile's body shape. The giant moa was an ecologically stable species for at least 40,000 years in New Zealand before the arrival of humans. When the Polynesian settlers arrived, the bird was hunted for food and eventually wiped out. Number 1. The elephant bird. The elephant bird was the largest bird ever to exist, reaching almost 10 feet in height and weighing 770 to 1,100 pounds. Just like other enormous birds, it couldn't fly, having no keel extending from its breastbones, which is the part of a bird's anatomy that provides the muscle with the proper leverage for flight. Examinations of its remains found reduced optic lobes, which suggests that the elephant bird was a nocturnal animal. 2 eggs of the elephant bird have been found in the 1930s and in 1992. They probably floated from Madagascar and washed ashore on Western Australia, where they were buried in beach dune deposits. Radiocarbon dating of the egg found in 1992 revealed it was around 2,000 years old. The exact time of the elephant bird's extinction is not certain, but it's known that it's been extinct since at least the 17th century CE, probably since sometime between the 11th and 13th century. There have been several accounts of very large birds throughout history that have been linked to the elephant bird. Marco Polo, in his journey to the east in the 13th century, mentions hearing stories about huge birds. The French governor of Madagascar wrote in the 17th century about a large bird that lays eggs like ostriches and seeks out the most lonely places to protect them from being stolen by humans. In the 19th century, European travelers in Madagascar reported seeing giant eggs and eggshells. The legendary enormous bird of prey called the roc from myths of the Middle East, appearing in many Arabian fairy tales and sailors' folklore, could also have been inspired by the elephant bird. The cause of the bird's extinction was probably human activity. It was first widespread throughout Madagascar, but people started hunting it, destroying its preferred habitats, and regularly stealing and cooking its eggs. The extinction might have also been a secondary effect of human impact through transfer of highly contagious diseases from animals traveling with humans, like chickens or domestic dogs. The closest relatives of the elephant bird today are the New Zealand kiwis, even though ostriches seem like the most intuitive guess because of their appearance and geographical proximity. Honorable mentions. The Brontornius. The Brontornius was the largest carnivorous bird that ever existed. It lived in South America, reaching heights of around 9.2 feet and weighed from 770 to 880 pounds, making it the 3rd heaviest bird in the world's history. In its time, it was the most massive land predator of its area. Their size, coupled with their predatory lifestyle, has earned them the nickname terror birds. They probably alternated between preying in ambush and actively chasing their prey. It's likely that the bird was on par with predators like the Thylacoslemus, a Matherian saber-tooth, and capable of killing large ancient animals like the elephant-like Astrapitherium. Their fossils have been found in 2 locations in Argentina, in the Santa Cruz province and the Monteleon formations. The ostrich. The ostrich is the largest living species of bird and the only living bird on this list, but it's still large enough to join the likes of its giant ancient cousins. Only the elephant bird and the giant moa laid larger eggs than the ostrich. The ostrich is also a flightless bird and the fastest runner of all birds, reaching a speed of 43 miles per hour. It's also an endurable runner, being able to run at speeds of 34 miles per hour for long periods of time. Ostriches mainly feed on plants and occasionally invertebrates and live in nomadic groups of 5 to 50 birds. They are not aggressive animals. They either hide by laying flat against the ground or run away when threatened. But they use their legs to land powerful kicks if they feel cornered. The habit of hiding on the ground might have been the origin of the head in the sand myth, something that ostriches actually don't do. Either that or someone may have misinterpreted the way of keeping their eggs. Ostriches don't use nests, but place their eggs in holes in the sand and keep rotating them with their beaks during incubation. They are farmed around the world, but mainly for their feathers, which are used for decoration and making feather dusters. Their meat is also sold, as well as their skin, for leather products. The ostrich population has declined rapidly in the last 200 years. Most of the ostriches left are kept in reserves or on farms. Hopefully, with the rise of awareness of the importance of animal preservation and the always increasing number of endangered species, humans will be able to protect another one of the world's giant birds from extinction. Be sure to check out our previous uploads, and remember to subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss any of our videos.